Okay, so we want to talk about the things and protocols that we're going to follow when we're going into the community so that we can reduce behaviors like running away, bolting to get things, pushing to access, pushing to move past others in the store or community in an inappropriate way, and inappropriate social behaviors like spitting and things of that nature. So we want to do as many proactive things as we can to reduce the likelihood of these happening. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about those so we can remember them. So the first thing we want to do is schedule an expectations review. And that does not need to be a big, elaborate thing. She is very familiar with this strategy and is responsive to it. So the first thing we want to do is a very basic first, next, then schedule that can just be done verbally. There doesn't need to be a visual tool for it unless it is all new places and maybe she's having trouble with the schedule. But generally, we're just going to say things like first park, then store, then bowling. If there's something that she is really looking forward to doing, then we want to emphasize when that is going to be available. So if we're going to do first OT, then store, then Wendy's, and Wendy's is what she's working for or very excited about, we want to emphasize that again. So we'll go over those and then we'll say we need to make good choices at OT and the store, and then we'll get Wendy's. And typically we can get a response or imitation of those things, specifically the Wendy's. She will then reply Wendy's. And we say, yes, Wendy's, if we make good choices, we have nice hands, we have nice walking feet, and we can do walking. And then we will get Wendy's. So that's the schedule review. Then our expectation review, it's good to do this before each setting because it should just be brief. We don't want to use a ton of words. So we're going to say things before we leave the house, like we need to walk to the car. We will close the door gently. And then we will go to OT. So just some basics of the next place. We're in the car. She's always great about sitting down, buckling her seatbelt, safety precautions of bolting from the car, things like that haven't been something we've seen in a while. So she's going to get in, buckle her seatbelt, and then as we're driving, when we get near to the next setting, then we're going to say those expectations. So when we get to OT, we're going to walk to the door. We're going to go sit down and wait, then bathroom. Because bathroom we know is the thing that she will be desiring to go do. We're going to set those expectations, and then we're going to give one more help of some close proximity control, which just means that we're going to stay near her. We do not, at this point, need to have the close proximity control with physical guidance. You know, before we had the plan that she needed to be touching a shoulder or a hand. That doesn't seem to be needed now. So as long as we're near her. Now, if she is frequently bolting on a certain day, then I would increase that support and go back to, oh, before we walk away, I need to feel your hand on my shoulder. And she is very responsive to that. So we can add that as an extra safeguard for bolting. One of the things that helps with the elopement is, and that's the running away, is the signaling when something's available. So a lot of times there is that kind of like hunch down and run to be able to access the bathroom. But if we're saying already in the car, we're going to walk inside, we're going to sit down, and then bathroom, we're letting her know the bathroom is coming, but we have some rules before we get there. And so we're going to do those expectations before each place. Before we go into the store. If we're going to go into the Dollar Tree and we know that the bathroom isn't a choice, then we're going to say, we'll go into Dollar. What are we going to pick? Often she will say the two things like straw and pencil. Maybe she adds something that we're not going to get. Maybe she says, and body wash. And we say, oh, today, just straw and pencil. So she has the expectation of what we're getting. And then we're going to say, bathroom is closed. We'll go to the bathroom at the park. So we're letting her know the things that are available and then signaling when the other thing is a choice. So setting expectations, reviewing the schedule, those are really going to be our proactive things to help. Now, if things start happening that we don't want to see, if we start seeing the inappropriate behaviors like the spitting, that seems to be very related to attention. And so if we say things like, no, stop, we're going to get more of that. So instead, we're just going to do that high probability task like, could you clap your hands and touch your nose and then just move on? You don't even need to give a ton of eye contact and attention in that. Just a simple, oh, let's clap our hands and touch our nose. And then carry on with what you were doing, because it distracts what she was doing and it doesn't give a ton of attention. Typically, that will lead to fading those behaviors away. Generally, after about 3 of those types of prompts, we don't see them anymore. But if they continue, keep up with the distraction prompts. Don't switch back and forth between no, stop, that's gross, or things like that, because then we're going to see them kind of climb up because she's getting that thing she wants. If we see slamming of doors, attempts to run, any of these behaviors that we don't want to see, we're going to do something called positive practice. So if she slams a door, then we're going to say, oh, we need to close that soft, and we're going to close it soft at least 3 times. So it's as simple, you're right there at it. She is definitely willing to comply with it, but she doesn't love it. So we have more likelihood of that occurring. And if she runs to a doorway, if she runs essentially anywhere other than the restroom, we are going to stop where she is. We're going to go back to the starting point and we're going to walk together. Again, she is generally very willing to do that. Now, if you see a drop and she's sitting, kind of like the precursors to a tantrum, we're still going to require the walk back. The sitting on the ground should not get her out of that. So we're going to say, oh, as soon as we get back to the car, then we can walk and go in the store. And then low attention. I generally turn my body a little bit away from her, but stay close so that she's safe. And then she's going to stand up and go and do the walking. Now, these are all things she's done many times and is willing to do as long as our tone is direct and clear. We don't need to yell ever, but we need to be very clear. So in a tone that sounds like, we need to get up, we need to go to the car. Then we can go inside. So there is that change in inflection towards the reinforcer, and she's responsive to that too. Now, if she elopes to the restroom, we are not going to be able to interrupt the restroom behavior because she's going to go in and take her pants off basically immediately and start to attempt to use the restroom. So an attempt to stop that, to go back and do positive practice, is going to require physical management that's just going to escalate the situation. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to teach her how we want her to act in these situations. So we're going to finish the bathroom. We're going to wash our hands, and then we're going to go practice. So the practice stays, but we aren't going to interrupt the task of the restroom. So those are some of the basics in some of the forms that we've looked at recently, some things in her behavior plan, but sometimes maybe hearing, talking through how to do it helps too.